of the Joint Conference Committee on Higher Education. My name is Toby Stavisky, and I chair the Committee on Higher Education in the Senate. And we will begin to discuss our recommendations for the 2023-24 enacted budget. As always, I'm delighted to be here with the co-chair, Assemblywoman Patricia Fahey, as we work together to strengthen New York State's excellent and innovative higher education system. I will make a few opening remarks and read the parts of the Senate One House recommendation, and then the Assemblywoman will do the same for her, for the Assembly. First, let me say that in the Senate, and in the Assembly, we have done remarkable things for pre-K through 12th grade education, particularly to conform to the court's mandate on foundation aid, et cetera. But we consider education to be a seamless transition from pre-K through postgraduate, and that has been our attitude really from the beginning. The seamless transition, though, has to continue, and it's time to fulfill the higher education aspect of this mission. Let me say that prior to 2019, there were yearly $200 a year increases in the cost of tuition at CUNY and SUNY. And there was a total disinvestment in higher education. But since that time, in the last 4 years, there has been no increase in higher education tuition. We are closing the TAP gap, and we've had record increases, and that's due to a bipartisan working together. In 2023-24, the executive budget was called transformative, and we want to be sure that it's transformative not just for SUNY, but for CUNY as well. Declining enrollment is a problem, and we don't solve this problem by increasing tuition charges. That is my position, and I feel very strongly about that. Now, I am joined today by the following members of the Senate majority. Senator Gonzalez. We also have Senator Joseph Griffo, the ranking member, and Senator Dean Murray as his alternate ranking member. The Senate has designated Beth LaMountain as our recording secretary, and the following agencies will be discussed at this conference committee: the State University of New York, the City University of New York, the Higher Education Services Corporation, the State Education Department's Higher Education and Office of the Professions, and the Council for the Arts. And rather than read the long list of highlights, let me just mention a couple of them in our One House bill. For the City University of New York, we have recommended an appropriation of $333 million for a CUNY matching endowment. We have recommended the restoration of $435 million in flexible capital funding. And for the State University of New York, we have recommended $151 million for additional general operating aid for the 19 distressed SUNY campuses, as well as a $60 million restoration to pay the debt service for the 3 SUNY hospitals. And under HESC, we have an increase in the TAP income eligibility from $80,000 to $110,000. And in the Council on the Arts, we recommended the restoration of $90 million. And in terms of the Article 7 highlights, we have recommended that we reject or intentionally omit the executive proposal to increase tuition at CUNY and SUNY. And I thank the Assembly for our collaborative effort, and Assembly Member Pat Fahey.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh. Senator, I'm going to just borrow your
Yep,
mic.
sure.
Okay? This is the
We
one
work
that
together.
the lights don't. Yes, another sign we're working together. Good afternoon. Again, I'm Assemblywoman Pat Fahey, new chair to the Higher Education Committee, and I welcome you to the first meeting of the Joint Conference Committee on Higher Education to begin discussing our recommendations for this fiscal year 23-24. And very, very pleased to be working with my co-chair, Senator Toby Ann Stavisky, who has been very gracious as I've stepped into this role. This higher education conference role this committee has worked well together, and again, we're excited to be having this conference to talk about both the Senate and the Assembly proposals. As the senator mentioned, there's, I think, some very good news. Both proposals are quite comparable. But let me just do a couple of introductions. First, the senator mentioned the agencies that will be covered under this conference committee. I don't think I need to repeat them, but it's the SUNY CUNY, HESC, the State Education Department's Higher Ed Office, and the Office of the Profession, as well as the Council on the Arts. Today, I am joined by a few members. In the majority, I have Mr. Assemblymember Bill Colton next to my left, as well as Assemblywoman Latrice Walker. Clyde Vanell, I know was out today, but he is on the committee. As well as for alternates, we have Assemblywoman Marcela Martinez, as well as Christopher Ickes. And then we also have, we're also very pleased to be joined by our ranking member, Assemblymember Robert Smullen, as well as Assemblymember Michael Riley. I'm not sure if he's made it yet today either. The Assembly has designated Ashley Luz as our recording secretary. And very similar to what the senator already listed, I'm just going to mention a few highlights and see if any other members have opening comments. But the Assembly as well joined the Senate in trying to increase college affordability while providing a host of essential support services. In general, and again, these are just the highlights, the Assembly proposal, we do reject the tuition increases at SUNY and CUNY. We provide a total of $275 million in operating support for SUNY, $246 million for CUNY, as well as some provisions for providing increased support over the next 3 years to give at least some predictability to those operating dollars, or some semblance of predictability. We provide an increase of $200 million in endowment funds for SUNY. That's over what the governor requested. Which brings us to a total of $700 million for SUNY endowment funds, as well as $470 million in endowment funds for CUNY. And that is also over what the governor had proposed. With regard to community colleges, we kept 100% base aid, as well as an additional 4%. And while we require a transformative plan, that would not be contingent upon funding, as was in the governor's proposal. We also provide the SUNY hospitals with the $69 million debt relief funds, again, something that had been requested, and something that we've heard a lot of in recent days. We restore the governor's proposed cut on the opportunity programs such as HEOP and EOP, and we also provide a 5% increase. Then we also provide a total of $2.1 billion in capital funds for SUNY, as well as $1.4 billion in capital funds for CUNY, as well as an additional $30 million in an additional round of HECAP funds, which are the higher education capital matching grant programs targeted at our independent colleges. Finally, we raised the income threshold on TAP from 80,000 to 100,000. Again, similar to where the Senate is. The Senate's gone a little higher. We also add in an increase on the income threshold for independent students from 10,000 to 20,000. As the senator mentioned, we do not have the table targets at this point. We're just starting in this phase of the budget negotiations, if you will. So that is something we do not have at this time. With that, I'm going to turn it back to the senator to see if there are opening comments on your side, and then we'll turn to our side of the table.
Thank you. And we too agreed with the the increases to the independent colleges. I think we have a great opportunity here because I think we're really close
Absolutely.
philosophically on many of these issues. Senator Griffo, the ranking member.
Thank you, Chairwoman Stavisky and Chairwoman Fahey. We may want to invest in meteorology because it feels like there's a warm front here in the room.
Yes.
It's a good thing, though.
Pleased to be here with my colleagues, and on behalf of the Senate Republican Conference, want to again indicate some of our positions here. And we also oppose Governor's plan to raise tuition at SUNY and CUNY. While we understand and believe investing in higher education is essential and important, we just believe that it would be irresponsible at this point in time when we look at the high cost, the economic uncertainty, and the declining enrollment to put additional financial burden and hardship on students and families. Likewise, I think the movement to move and increase the income eligibility limit for tuition assistance program to $110,000 will allow for almost 24,000 more middle-class families to have access to financial support, and that would be important. We also believe that continuing to support graduate TAP will make a meaningful difference in supporting students that are pursuing graduate degrees, particularly in STEM and health-related fields where there are a lot of needs at this point in time. Finally, we support increasing the community college base aid to ensure that these critical engines of opportunity have the funding that they need to continue to provide us with an innovative workforce, education, and training to be a gateway to success for students across the state. So thank you, Chairwoman Stavisky, for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Any other?
And if we'll go now to our ranking member, Assemblymember Smullen.
Thank you, Chair Fahey and Chair Stavisky. We appreciate the opportunity to participate in this conference committee. I'm Assemblyman Robert Smullen, speaking today on behalf of the Assembly Minority Conference. These discussions are very important because they're really five parties. They're really conducted to ensure that the views of all New Yorkers, including the 6 million that our conference represents, are in the room. So we're very happy to see that we have consensus from the legislature to not accept the governor's proposal for raising tuition at SUNY and CUNY. That's really not 9% at our 4 SUNY centers in upstate and across the state. That's not something that's a bit high. We're also concerned about affordability. The attention to the TAP program needs to be a priority. This is something that the middle class really relies upon. People that work their whole lives, they raise their kids, pay their taxes, and then when it's time for those kids to go to college, to help afford that, they get $500 minimum TAP. So I think it's been about 20 years since that's been adjusted. Just like the governor's minimum wage proposal to index certain things to inflation, that would be a good place to start. So also, I think that needs to be raised from a base level up to something, $1,000 or if not $1,500. Community colleges are very, very important. They suffer from an unpredictable funding formula. Their enrollment fluctuates. They can be countercyclical when times are good. Maybe not as many people are in community colleges and vice versa. So this stability, this funding stability, there's a lot of good ideas out there, including having a 10-year rolling average of what that is for community colleges, so they have some stability over time that's out there. Lastly, looking at the endowments for private sector universities are very important because that's also something that our public sector colleges need to incentivize. And that particularly helps with financial aid, and I think that's a good policy. Very last thing, sorry, the 100 private colleges that are around the state, many of them were hit hard by COVID as well. And the Bundy aid and the higher education cap needs to be looked at. That hasn't been indexed to inflation 10 years or so. So again, appreciate the opportunity to comment, and thank you, Chair Fahey.
Thank you. I don't know if there were other comments on your side. Anybody else on this side? Great. Assemblywoman Walker.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Chairs, for the opportunity. There are a number of things, of course, within this particular budget that I'm very proud of. But there's one thing that I believe where we may not necessarily be hitting the direct mark on, and that is regarding our SUNY hospitals. Presently, the deficit in the budget that's being experienced by SUNY Downstate is to the tune of $138 million. And what we've been seeing with respect to SUNY hospitals as it relates to budgetary items is that there's a little bit of ping pong that takes place between the education table and the health table. And no one wants to take responsibility for the baby. And at this point, we're having a conversation as to whether or not SUNY would be able to provide resources in order to support the operating as well as the capital costs with respect to a teaching hospital, which provides a vital resource to disadvantaged communities, of course, both downstate and upstate. And we hope, Madam Chair, that as you go through your negotiations, that the situations concerning our safety net hospitals are not allowed to continue along in this sort of ping pong. We also are very excited, of course, about the expansion of resources and vital programs such as EOP, which provides opportunities for young people who will never have considered, higher education as an option for them, when we know that it is a great equalizer. And of course, we were also introduced to the Black Leadership Institute because we're also noticing that there is a huge deficit with respect to the representative nature of both faculty, the administration, as well as the boards of many of our higher institutions of higher education. And so we want to make sure that we are supporting a budget for higher education that puts our communities first, put all communities first, and make sure it's one that is diverse, that it is inclusive, that it is equitable, and that it propels excellence across the board. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments from our members? We do. Okay, go ahead, Senator.
Before I call on Senator Griffo, let me thank the Assemblywoman for those comments about Downstate. For those in the audience who are not familiar, Downstate was a COVID-only hospital, and many of their patients were uninsured, and they were never really reimbursed for the tremendous sacrifices that they made at Downstate. And we want to be sure that we recognize that, as well as the other two SUNY hospitals, but particularly Downstate. Senator Griffo has some comments.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Stavisky. And I want to thank the Assemblyman, too, because SUNY Upstate is in a very similar situation. And I think it's essential right now that they're having difficulty. We know there's shortages. We know how important the medical and clinical staff are to the well-being of our citizens. And I know they are having difficult recruiting because of the nature of the physical plant, which is not in good shape. So we need to be able to invest and address so that we are putting the money in those physical plants, the capital needs that they have advocated and demonstrated, and particularly at SUNY Upstate, where I'm familiar with right now, because I'm concerned and talking with many of the officials there that it's going to be even more difficult to try to recruit and retain staff too. So I think the SUNY hospitals downstate, upstate, they really do deserve a little special attention and investment, and hopefully that can be dealt with, and we can arrive at that this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know we do have the debt service in here, and we will certainly follow up with higher ed on that ping pong game. But the bottom line is, I should also add, I'm very, very pleased with where both bodies have come out in terms of the overall support for higher education. And I think the goal will be to continue to work together and find common agreement and really try to fund all of the things discussed here today. We recognize the importance, and as the senator said, I'm very, very proud of what we've done in K-12, and our focus is very much on higher education, and I hope that's where our attention will stay these next couple of weeks, at least through this committee.
Thank you. And we should really mention the third one, Stony Brook. Is there anybody else who has a comment? Hearing none.
Let me just read the final,
Oh.
I know we have a conclusion, let me,
Oh, yeah.
if we are concluding, I
Yes.
want to just be clear that hearing no other comments, we will, and I see others are coming in for the 5 o'clock, we will conclude this first meeting of the Higher Education Conference Committee. We will meet again upon the call of the General Conference Committee. So to be determined. Hope that you had anything more on that, Senator.
Nope.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.